All right, welcome to the That's Delightful podcast. It's our, I guess you could say, our maiden voyage, our inaugural show, our very first one that we've ever had. Can we just say the very first, to keep it simple?
This will be the one that you listen back to in 100 episodes and say, man, can you believe what they used to be doing?
Right, that was when they had training wheels, and they're just sort of limping along and trying to get Michelle to my left here to sort of be into it a little bit more than she is right now. Just sort of looking down, do I have to say something? Do I really have to be a part of this?
What do you want me to say?
Do I have to... Thanks for coming in strong. She came out the gate swinging, folks. Going around the room real quick. If you're listening to this for the very first time, and you are because it's the very first one we've ever done. Straight across from me is Dr. Kelly Abbott. Qualifications, good sir.
Oh, I'm a doctor.
And would you stop right there? I'm a doctor. Enough
I'll
said.
just leave it to
So
you.
is Seuss.
This will be a fun game we can play. Listen to me talk for half an hour and then decide what kind of doctor I am. I'm guessing you'll figure it out.
Oh.
Okay, fine. I'm a psychologist. I'm like the
Is that a
bottom rung
real
of the
doctor,
doctor ladder.
I didn't know there was like levels of doctoring.
Oh, there's way levels.
Okay.
There's a pecking order.
We're at the bottom.
And you're at the bottom of that pecking order.
Yep.
Which is why you're doing a podcast, not on TV, talking
That's
about
right.
weight loss and, neti pots.
Well,
My wife,
Dr. Phil has his own show.
is he really a doctor?
He is really a doctor.
He's not licensed, right?
But he's not a licensed psychologist. But he is a psychologist.
He's a psychologist without a license.
I see the disdain right now.
Is this like the blood and crips of doctors? Like when you're talking about like licensed versus unlicensed?
No, this is a lot of hatred for Dr. Phil. I think anybody in the profession.
Many in the mental health community don't care to claim Dr. Phil.
If I can put on my doctor hat here for a moment, is this an ego thing?
No, this is an ethics thing.
This is people. A lot of people get their ideas of what a psychologist is from watching Dr. Phil interview famous people and exploit their mental illness.
Catch me outside. How about that?
That's what I'm talking about.
So
Thank
have
you,
you ever
Dr.
heard
Phil.
of Dr. Laura Schlesinger?
Schlesinger?
Yeah, I think she's a physiologist. I don't even
I
think
used
she's a
to
psychologist.
hate listen to her on the radio. She wrote a book. What was it called? The Proper Care and Feeding of Men.
Did she really?
Oh man, we could do.
Okay, I haven't read that one.
We could do a whole show on the proper
Okay.
care and feeding of men.
So
Well, you
there's
actually could.
The book or the
There's a
actual act
ladder.
of?
there's psychologists are at the very bottom of the ladder, and then below that is Dr. Laura.
Yes, that's true.
So
Dr. Laura's below
the
psychologist?
only one we get to shit on is Dr. Laura and Dr. Phil.
No, there's another one. What was the one that your mom listens to?
Oh, Dr. Dean Adele.
Okay, so Dr. Dean Adele is a zoologist turned
Right.
ophthalmologist who is all of a sudden also a psychologist.
Okay, we're middle of the ladder. We're the bottom of the ladder that actually get to make appointments and collect money from people for
See,
playing.
I'm
our
glad we
trade.
talked about this because when we started the podcast, it was like, I'm a psychologist, we're the bottom rung. We figured out that you're actually kind of middle management.
Yeah.
You should really feel a lot better about
Physician,
yourself.
heal thyself. I feel a lot better than when I walked in here today.
And then my wife Michelle Riley, who is and I've known you now for 8 years. I should know this, but it is LCSW,
It is.
which is licensed clinical
Clinical
social
social.
worker.
I do not hand out money at welfare. That's not what I do for a living. And I do not hand out bus tokens either. So that
So-
seems to be what really social workers are.
It's my understanding, and I may not be married after this, but it's my understanding that basically you're a therapist.
Yeah, why would you not be married after that?
Because he said he was bottom of the rung, and then we figured out he was kind of in
Oh,
the
no,
middle.
he's
That's
still
a doctor.
over me.
She's on a different ladder.
And then, well, I just didn't know if I was like, you're not on the doctoring ladder.
No.
For those at home or in your cars, I just got the first of what I'm sure are many middle fingers.
And then my name is Ian Riley, and I have zero qualifications at all. I host a radio program in Modesto, California, and that is about it. I have 32 college units to my name total.
Hey, that's a lot.
So if we're going to talk about anybody that's middle of the rung or bottom of the ladder, I'm right there. I'm really here to just sort of facilitate.
So would you say you're a power bottom?
I'm a power bottom who likes to make eye contact.
And yet, when it comes to sitting in this room with these microphones, which of the three of us would you guess is most comfortable?
You do it for 4 hours a day,
Right?
5 days a week. And
All
yeah.
I can do, I'm sitting here wondering if me scratching my beard is coming through the mics, and I'm pretty sure it probably is.
It probably is. It most likely is.
So does that mean
just
the
keep
vape
doing
pen
it.
is
I'm just going to
too?
keep doing it.
So this program, as we continue and do more episodes, is really going to be a mixture of because we do have I guess you could say the luxury of having a doctor and a social worker as part of this podcast. Not like
Everybody wants a social worker.
no. Well, you guys didn't go to www.iwouldliketohavemydegreeinpsychology.com and fill out a few pieces of paper. Like, you guys are fairly well educated. At one point in time, you actually taught at BYU.
I did.
And at one point in time, my wife actually
I went to
made
college.
a conscious decision to be with me and put up with me, which takes a certain amount of strength we don't really find in a whole lot of people. We have this luxury of having these two people who are extremely educated that can go down several different roads. And so I think we're going to eventually take this podcast in the direction of topical / political / psychological / social justice / whatever's kind of going on.
But also like board games and...
Are you saying you're not just a psychologist?
Movies from the 80s, cartoons. No, we probably would just talk about psychology.
So the psychology is not what defines you. It's just what you are.
I mean...
He's just a man with a board game and a set
I don't
of
want to have
die.
it all figured out tonight. I just want to talk into the mic.
Okay. Tonight's getting comfortable with the mic night. Okay, so we're going to hop right in with sort of current topics right now. And it's and I always get it wrong. I say Melania. It's Melania.
It's Melania.
Melania Trump, who tweeted out after giving a speech just the other day, basically don't lack the courage to fail. You're going to fail. Be strong. Continue on. And Rosie O'Donnell, who's always had a feud with Donald Trump, came back and said that's why you should pack your bags and you and your kid and your parents should leave that man.
Well, I'm wondering if it's useful, like, right out the gate. I mean, I'm a big proponent, at least as far as mental health goes, of not labeling people or putting anyone in a box. But I'm wondering if we should go ahead and label ourselves and put ourselves in a box politically so people kind of know where we're coming from. Or should we just let people guess?
I think it's going to be pretty easy to figure out. I'm a flaming liberal.
Well, I'm going to come down on Rosie O'Donnell a little bit, so I don't want anyone to think that I'm a Trump apologist.
Actually, I'm not either. And I'm actually going to come down on Rosie O'Donnell, too.
I'm grown-up conservative and just realized I was liberal once I started reading, so...
Yeah, it'll do that to you.
That's kind of where I'm at on this. Okay, so this is party lines aside. This is actually a social justice issue for you guys.
Well, for me, it's more of it's a feminist issue.
Okay.
So in that way. But I think Rosie O'Donnell, a lot of people, I keep hearing a lot of people talk about Melania Trump and poor Melania, and she's just a victim and she needs to save herself and get out of there. And I think people underestimate her and her ability to, I don't know, think for herself, which is insulting in and of itself.
I haven't seen her anywhere near Donald Trump in months, so in a lot of ways she's a little bit out of there already, right?
Right.
I think she's living in
To the
New
degree
York.
that she can
while
be.
Trump lives in D.C., and I think that's for their kid to go to school, right? For right now?
So they say.
Yes.
So they say.
It's very important not to disturb the schooling.
So Rosie O'Donnell was not in the right for tweeting that out.
Here's where I'm coming from, and I agree that there are some feminist issues that come up here. So in mental health, I one of my areas of expertise, because I'm a doctor, I'm an expert.
Yeah, you are.
In the subject of bullying, and so first of all, we have a president, right, who is a major bully. That's his whole, I think he would probably even, he might not use that term, but he would describe his approach to life as, coming on strong and kind of pushing people to do what he wants them to do.
Well, and he said recently, even in the last week, because I'm the president, that's why.
Right.
Essentially.
Right. Because I said so.
And over the last 2 years, we've seen the media and the American people in general sort of in shock trying to figure out what to do because it's a little bit unprecedented. I mean, it's not unprecedented for there to be politicians who are bullies, but this blatant and this kind of out there and unguarded, it's different. It's a different approach. And so the media for a long time, they were just sort of fascinated with him and nobody really took him seriously. Now he's the damn president.
Well, nobody thought he would win.
Right. So in bullying, what happens is when you get bullied long enough, people, when they finally get up to speed, there's a couple things that can happen. You can gain empathy, and it makes you softer in a good way, hopefully. Helps you learn to empathize with the experiences of other people, or it can make you into a bully yourself. And that seems to be a lot of what's happening now as people are trying to figure out how to deal with Trump. People are starting to figure out, hey, we need to poke back. We need to get a sharp stick and poke back. Rosie O'Donnell, I wonder if she actually cares about the plight of Melania Trump or if she was going for some cheap political points.
She's going for some cheap political points. She's brought up the kid, too, Barron Trump. She's the one that actually initially tweeted that he might be on the spectrum.
Right.
Which, the autism spectrum? Yeah.
Okay.
So,
which is a great thing to be speculating about.
Right. We always like it when
this poor kid, I mean, what is he, like 10, 11 years old?
Right.
It's not his fault that his dad is who he is.
No.
And on that same token, like, even if his dad, in at least my opinion, is a terrible president or president-to-be, like, he still gets to grow up saying, my dad was a president. What'd your dad do?
He doesn't even get to say he lived in the White House, though.
Yeah, maybe it's a summer home. Maybe it'll be a summer home, because right now they're in New York for school, so...
Right.
So you think that Rosie O'Donnell is an example of people learning how to respond to being bullied, basically, and it's kind of like learning how to swim with floaties on, trying to figure out exactly how to respond to it.
Yeah, I think I feel a lot of people learning to, and it's gratifying in the moment to watch people score a cheap shot, and especially because we've learned that he reacts to it. Trump seems to have no defenses against being made fun of. That's the thing he really can't handle. So it works in the short term, but I would just wonder what the long-term effects are as a nation of learning to bully the bully until they, take their ball and go home, which I imagine is eventually what will happen with Donald Trump.
Well, and her and Trump have had a storied back and forth for years now, going back to The Apprentice and when she had the Rosie show. And so
no, it was The View.
Was it The View?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was because the Rosie show was when she was the Queen of Nice, and when she was on The View, it was like, oh, Rosie O'Donnell can be kind of a bitch.
I don't see how it was that memorable. She essentially just.
But it's just been going back and forth now for a few years.
I mean, make no mistake, he's been awful to her for years, and
it always comes down to her looks.
And there's no excuse for that. But then to draw in the family members, the kid, the wife,
right?
Like she should leave it to just Donald if she's going to do that. Is basically.
I mean, I'm in favor of finding ways to score your points without saying shitty things to people.
He's an easy target. I mean, you don't need to go there. The fact that he has zero experience or knowledge of anything at all.
And no filter.
I
think it's hilarious. I pray for Donald tweets. I like reading them. But I mean, that's
true.
But maybe that's also part of idiocracy coming true, where it's a distraction. You're reading that instead of what's really going on. Because I could read Donald Trump tweets all day long. I really could. Yeah. I think it's awesome. I love watching a train wreck.
See, it makes me cringe every time.
I hate thinking of the people that are dying in the train wreck, but I still like watching the train wreck happen,
The thing is, someday there's going to be a presidential library for Donald Trump, assuming that,
he's not impeached.
Have buildings here in the United States.
We won't have those if he's.
But what are they going to fill it with? Is it really just going to be like moving screens of all of his tweets? What's going to be in his presidential library? What are the artifacts going to be of his presidency?
Hey, real quick, not to shift gears, I got to say though that we're about halfway through, and you're already looking pretty comfortable on that microphone, Michelle.
I've always wanted a microphone.
Are you going to sing?
The story of my life.
Nice.
Abbott's a One Direction fan. He doesn't tell you that, but he is.
I'll tell everybody that.
You got the direction infection.
The 1D? Hell yeah.
So do you like D?
I like
1D?
I like 1D.
You got the direction infection from the 1D.
Just the 1D. Although I guess there's multiple Ds now because Harry Styles has a single coming out. Zayn is tearing up the airwaves right now.
You know their names.
Yeah. My sister's in town right now, and she's the one that turned me on to 1D. And she'll review sort of the ongoing behavior. She was telling me today that Zayn is really kind of an asshole because he, I guess one of the other kids' mom died, and he didn't even tweet. Like, he didn't even say what's up, didn't check in.
So
should we make this a regular feature of the podcast where today in 1D?
So the world was worried about whether or not he tweeted. I mean, like
Zayn
somebody
had a very high-profile break from the group. He took it another direction.
So which one dated Taylor?
Harry.
And now Zayn is making singles with Taylor.
So I just have to wonder. I want to point out right now, this is a very important lesson of why you shouldn't follow gender stereotypes. Because I'm just saying, I'm the one that's supposed to know all of this stuff, yet you guys are the ones that
okay, in my defense, I get our paycheck by knowing this stuff. I get paid to know this stuff.
Because here's
and in my defense, their songs are catchy as shit. So.
I was going to say.
And in my defense, I agree with him.
I defy you to find a song catchier than, what's that one?
The Story of My Life.
No, I mean, that's a delightful song.
That is the delightful song.
That's what makes you beautiful.
That's what makes you beautiful.
See?
We're singing to you right now.
What is it? Last First Kiss? I hope I get these songs right, because if anyone ever actually listened to this podcast and I got a song name wrong,
we might get one person.
They would find their way. That information would find its way to the Legion of One.
Oh, Directioners, the girls that got the direction infection, they will send you death threats.
So can we not call it the direction infection? Like, I get that that's probably what people do call it, but I think of STDs,
which they probably had a few.
Why did you have to take something pure like the music of 1D? And make it about,
because it's the music of 1D and there's an infection associated with the D, and I just
can I just point out that if Harry and Liam were to join forces, they could be double D, and their first CD needs to be called Penetration.
How many are there in the group?
There were 5. There's 4 now. Now with Harry going rogue, I don't know what we can even.
What we
Eventually,
can
there,
expect.
there would
a
truly
world
be
of
5
chaos.
Ds.
Yeah.
Running roughly parallel tracks. It's not like any of them are suddenly going to veer off into reggae. They're all making pop songs.
I feel like
that's
we're
awesome.
receiving just a bukkake of music.
Oh, that's amazing.
No, that's delightful.
It's delightful.
You
This
had
is
to-
all
you
off script.
had
We're
to go
supposed to be
there.
talking about tomato sauce on airplanes.
Oh yeah. We have a show to do.
But
don't
I
we?
personally think this was a better
This
conversation.
was important. We had to get here. We cover.
I personally think every show should end with something related to bukkake.
How many
How
topics
many
do you have lined up
bukkake-related
about
things are there that
bukkake?
aren't just bukkake?
Hey, we can find out.
Funnel through to my J section in bukkake,
It's an encyclopedia topic.
and the encyclopedia. As a psychologist, as an LCSW, like I feel like we had to have this conversation. This is something that we all had to kind of talk about and get out there in the open. Is there a psychological angle to getting something out that I don't think otherwise we'd bring this conversation up about our love for the 1D, and we did, and I think we feel better in doing so. What do you
I'm
call
gonna
that?
let you handle that.
Well, I
'cause
mean,
you're
it
the
would
expert.
depend on who you talk to, really. Because let's be real. First of all, I'm a doctor, so whatever I say, by definition,
It's wildly inaccurate.
is words from a doctor.
Sure.
I have a
So
I have a
doctor us here.
doctorate.
So,
There's a certificate.
I
and
think we
everything.
should start giving advice
So-
in other fields too.
But in the field of psychology, we have everything. There are all kinds of theories. I'm not a big fan of psychobabble. I kind of just like talking the language of the people, if you will.
Okay.
So you're saying you lower yourself to
So
us.
you're a doctor,
Yes.
but you can go blue collar
I'll stand at the
like
mountaintop
that.
and
So
Sure.
just so you know,
speak the common language.
yes, he will speak simple words for the simple folk.
Bottom line is, any question, this is the beauty of psychology, is why I chose it over a science, is because pretty much any answer
It's a
is the right answer.
How is psychology not
Psychology
a
is
science?
not a science.
How is it not a
It is
science?
science. It's getting more and more into a.
It's
How
super
am
scientific.
I defending
I get it.
your
I know.
profession over
I'm-
you?
Psychology is a science. It's why I chose it over a hard science.
Like beakers.
I had to
and
pass
potions.
statistics. Let
And
me tell
stuff. Me
you,
too.
it was a whole thing.
Can I tell you that I passed my statistics class?
I'm really establishing my cred here.
Your street cred.
Anyway,
I passed my statistics class because my professor thought we were all too stupid to understand it.
So he just passed everybody because
So he gave us all a calculator and was like, "I don't want to see you guys.
you're all idiots. Don't want to see you
Yeah.
again. Y'all get an A.
Hey, it's cool with me.
Here's
I don't
a
care.
Texas Instruments calculator.
I
Okay.
can, I can vaguely tell you that there is something called the law of large numbers. Other than
Can I
that.
chime in here just to qualify myself in the education realm? I passed business math in order to graduate from high school.
Me too.
And I know, courtesy of Mr. Gardner, that if it's a debit, you put it on the left in black, or in red, and if it's a credit, you put it on the right in black, or the other way around. I
So
learned
you
about
didn't
debits
even
and
learn.
credits.
Mr. Gardner didn't even
He
teach
was
you that well.
a terrible teacher.
You know what, Mr. Gardner? It's not you.
Tomato sauce. We got to get back on track.
tomato sauce.
So we read this
Bukkake
study
tomato
today.
sauce. I get it.
We already brought bukkake up.
We covered the bukkake base. My mom's gonna listen to this and be like, She's gonna message me after and be like, should I look up bukkake or is it what I think it is and it's something I shouldn't want to know about? And I'll say, yeah, that.
Before,
the second
before we did this, and Michelle's going to get mad at me, she said, I need to make sure that you're not going to go all blue on this and
Yeah,
say
and
things
then
that
she
are going
goes
to be...
bukkake.
And then she goes straight bukkake, like 3 different
Okay,
times.
I'm not the one who brought up bukkake.
I brought it up in context with what we were talking about, and I was ready to move on to tomato
Yeah,
juice.
it was sort of
That's what she said.
See? See?
okay.
We were literally sitting in our chairs at home, and she goes, I think that you just need to understand that Kelly has family that's going to want to hear this, and I think he's worried that you're going to go all blue, or at least I'm worried about that.
Blue.
blue. That's what comedians say when they're gonna use language and
Do I look
dirty,
like I know?
dirty jokes.
So you have a firm grasp on bukkake, but you're not sure what blue is.
No, I know what the color is.
Okay.
It's
Anyway.
pretty.
So anyone listening should know that a recurring theme of this podcast is going to be Michelle doesn't know shit about shit unless it's the shit she
Hey,
knows
I
about.
know shit.
Right.
You know shit about some shit.
I don't know shit about
Stuff
pop
she-
culture. Who cares? Because I don't know all the D's.
Anyway, when someone goes blue, I'm mansplaining shit.
No, you're not mansplaining. She doesn't know. It's not mansplaining if they don't know.
Do you feel mansplained too right now?
I feel a little patronized.
Okay, well, tell
Because
you what.
you're-
Kelly, go ahead and
It
hit the
just
pause
comes up
button
a
on
lot.
you. Hit the pause
Yeah,
button on
I'm
you.
gonna stop talking.
Tell us what blue is.
No, I don't. That's not why. I don't care if you explain.
It's
to me
not
what blue
mansplaining
is.
if you don't know what it is.
You know
And
what
you're not
it
being
is?
patronized.
You know what it is?
You're not
Is
being
when you're
patronized.
explaining to me why I'm mad. That's called mansplaining.
I'm not explaining to you why you're mad.
You don't
I'm
actually
telling
know.
you that you keep talking when he's trying to tell you something that you know nothing about, and you still
So-
keep going, and you go off topic and tell me why I'm telling you why you're
Anyway,
mad.
what's blue?
And so
Thank
what you
you.
do is you explain to me why you don't need to know the thing that I know a thing about.
Okay, first of all, both of y'all can shut the front door right now because that's not what I'm talking about. When I said I felt patron, I don't even remember now, but it had nothing to do with the blue thing. Tell me what blue is. Yay, exciting.
So going blue,
Well, I
like
feel like
Jerry
she doesn't really wanna
Seinfeld
know.
famously is someone who doesn't go blue in his comedy. He doesn't use language, doesn't use profanity, doesn't tell dirty jokes, sexual jokes. Going blue is when you use that. You use language, R-rated content.
Yes, so I'm guessing it's offensive language. That's
Right.
That's just the term that's used.
It just is what it is. To circle back to what we were talking about, well, now you know what it's called. That's all we really need to know right now. I'm not 100% sure why they call it blue, but that's just what it is. She was super concerned that I was going to be the one that was going to go blue.
Right.
And she's the one over here. How
Let
many
the
times?
record show.
Yeah, let the
I've
record
said
show.
shit like 14 times.
I think I said the B word when we were talking about
Have
Rosie
we broken
O'Donnell.
the fuck barrier yet?
Well, we just did. With the F word barrier, that wouldn't be nearly as part of a barrier as the bukkake barrier.
No.
I didn't break the bukkake barrier.
You did. You absolutely
Can
did.
this please be the title of our first episode? Breaking the bukkake barrier.
Yes, it can.
When we upload this, I promise you, I will put this as breaking the bukkake barrier
Yeah.
and Rosie O'Donnell.
I feel like we're going to attract, assuming we attract a crowd at all, and we're not just three people talking into
There's
microphones
gonna
on a
be
Saturday night.
Oh, really? I have a very interesting visual in my head right now of our one listener,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna call him George.
Well, so bringing it back around
Because it
to
is
why
him.
it's cathartic to talk about your love of 1D. As a psychologist, my frame of reference and what I strive for is congruence. I like congruence. If I like 1D and I pretend I don't like 1D, then inherently there's tension and conflict there that can only lead to bad things.
And of course, congruence means
Congruence means being in line with yourself. Everybody has different sides of themselves that they pull out in different contexts. But as much as possible, if you can be the same kind of person pretty much everywhere you go, you have less to keep track of. You feel more kind of in flow
so.
with
It's
yourself.
basically the more lies you tell, the more things you have to remember.
Yeah, it's like, wait,
Okay.
does this person know I like 1D? Shit. And you have to remember.
Okay.
So, when it comes to this podcast, I work in a prison. Oh, have we said we work in... Can we say we work in a prison? Is that
I'm not-
top secret?
Well,
I
we're not
wasn't
saying
planning on
what
it.
prison you work
We work
in.
in a prison.
Okay.
So,
We're
you know
not
now you now know about me that I sort of mansplain. I worked at BYU, and I work in a prison. So,
And he also likes
And you love
board
1D.
games.
I do
And-
love
and you
the
love
1D.
board games.
And you know what, ladies? He is single.
Heyo. So,
Find him on Tinder.
anyway, about when it
And
comes
Bumble.
to... Don't do those things.
He'll be the closest one outside on Grindr.
We can say language in this. I mean, as far as going super blue, yeah, I just don't think we can do the podcast like for my family. Like, we can't use my family as the audience. They're probably going to listen. They know I say swear words because I work at a prison.
Well, yeah, you have to. You
I'm
have
going
to
to blame
blend.
prison for the swearing. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so if we're gonna be congruent, I'm gonna let you know that I'm gonna go dirty sometime.
You're going to be the one that goes blue?
And I'll probably, because this is a genuine reaction, I was Mormon most of my life. I have a few years being less Mormon or not Mormon. And so my reaction will always be a mixture of delight and
Sheer horror.
And
and oh my goodness.
did you hear what they said? People are sleeping in the same bed together. So we read a study earlier today, tomato juice, and when Kelly was going through this, he looks over and says, would you guys be interested in finding out why people enjoy tomato juice more on an airplane? With a very sarcastic look on his face, to which Michelle replied with, yes, I love tomato juice on an airplane.
I do.
Very seriously.
First of all, the thing I found out is that I know people who drink tomato juice on
You
airplanes.
do. Me and my grandmother.
I
You're
saw this
welcome.
headline and I thought it maybe was an April Fool's thing because
No, it's delicious.
I've flown on enough airplanes to know what my preferred beverage is, and it sure as hell ain't tomato juice. I'm not. I mean,
well,
I'm
you're
not-
gonna have to try it because I'm telling you right now, it's delicious.
Well, okay, would you ever try tomato juice outside of an airplane setting?
No, and that's a
Okay.
whole story that is probably for another time.
Okay.
There's a story that goes with
I
tomato
have
juice?
not one but two V8 related stories that are both equally upsetting in different ways.
I think I have
So-
a lower opinion of you now.
So why do people like tomato juice more on an
Yeah.
airplane? And then I'd like to hear about the V8.
So there were not one but two studies. There are at
There
least
are
two studies, possibly more, going back as far as 2010. Competing scientific teams
See,
were
I'm
working
not-
presumably around the clock to find out just why people like V8 on airplanes.
Men in lab coats with V8 and tomato juice.
Yeah.
I'm more angry that this was released in 2010 and nobody thought it was appropriate
Yeah, they're
to
like,
say
hey,
something about.
did
until
anybody ever get around to
Well, somebody had to double check their
releasing that
work. That
V8
takes a
study
little
we
while,
did?
right?
There was a grad student that really worked hard
Yeah.
on writing that dissertation or thesis or whatever it was, and they couldn't publish their results until 2017. They're not even really valid.
Somebody had to
anymore.
take a fine-tooth comb and go through the tomato juice study
Yeah.
and make sure that, in fact, this tomato juice data
We have
is
to
accurate.
replicate. If you can't replicate the study,
Yeah, but then like the professor actually took the credit for that. So there is a poor student out there that's walking around that's really upset about her V8 study, and a professor takes the credit for it, and it's been 7 years.
so the findings, for those who care, are that, first of all, being way up high does something to your body that makes you like savory stuff. Actually, what the words were savory and meaty. And if you were to ask 100 people what adjective they would use to describe V8, like if it was on Family Feud, our survey would not say meaty would be in the top 7
Well,
answers.
if you put V8 or tomato juice next to orange juice, you would have one that was certainly thicker and more dense. I guess
Those are
Although-
both adjectives that might be
I
used to describe V8. But meaty?
Maybe because
Fair
of
point.
the pizza and sauce. I don't know. That's all I could think of.
Yes.
Associations.
Have you ever had a glass of tomato juice and thought to yourself, man, a pepperoni would be just wonderful right now?
I would just love a big meaty glass of V8.
Just a bukkake full of tomato juice
There
and
it is.
pepperonis.
Did anybody watch I Love Lucy?
Yes,
Vitamina Vegemin. Do you not remember that episode?
I do. Was that tomato based?
It was vitamin,
Presumably.
minerals. Vitamin, minerals, meat. It was all of the food groups, all in one drink.
Okay.
1D,
and she
if
got
you will.
drunk.
Okay, but that was 1950
Lucy and her
something.
antics.
That
It was
like,
amazing.
That was like 60 some odd
Well,
years
that's
ago.
probably where they got it.
What's your V8 stories?
First, we'll take the one from childhood.
Is
There
this-
was a guy. I was living in Escalon, just a few miles away from here. There was an old man down the street who had cases and cases of V8 in his garage, and he would wait outside of his house every day. When we walked home from school, we had to walk past his house, and he would say, "Hey kids, come here," and we would walk up to him, and he would say,
This is going.
"I
down
got
our
some
path.
V8 for yous," and we would say, "No, please, sir, please don't give us more V8." And he would hand us a can of room temperature V8, and he would watch us drink it.
This
As I
is
think
so
back now, this is
telling right now.
way more upsetting in retrospect.
Yes.
You never
At the
told
time,
mom
I
and dad
just
about
hated
this?
the V8. I think we did, and they were just like, "Oh, that guy." We never went into his house and drank V8. We were in the garage in plain sight.
But it's still.
But he definitely sat and watched us drink the whole can
Mom,
of V8.
Dad, there's this guy that every day on our way home from school gives us this warm, thick, salty drink.
Did
Yeah.
you ever
No,
wonder
it's just that guy.
why you became
the
a
one guy.
psychologist? Because I think we just found
That
out.
might have been it. And then when coupled with this other story, so when I was 19, as a young good Mormon boy, I went on a mission. And the first 2-3 months of the mission are at this place called the MTC in Provo, Utah.
So
the
did you know what
Missionary Training
bukkake
Center.
was?
I did not. That came
Okay,
later.
go ahead.
So I'm at the Missionary Training Center, and it's pretty much dorm-style living with communal showers, prison showers. A stand with the 4 shower heads poking out.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're really bored, and we had sack lunches every day. And so a group of guys, probably 10 guys, collected their V8s from their lunch every day for about a month. So they had probably 100 cans of V8. And one night they decided to have a V8 drinking contest. And the contest was drink V8 until you puke, and then you're out. And so they went into the showers because there was no other good place to vomit this volume of V8. So I went in, unbeknownst to me this was happening, I walk into the showers to use the bathroom, and I see 10 guys in a row vomiting, just projectile vomiting V8 all over the showers. And there was nowhere else to shower. So the alternative after that was to not shower or to stand in puddles of V8 that had backed up the drains. So V8 pretty much for me, not on a plane, not on a bus. I have nothing but bad associations with V8.
I think you ought to at least give the V8 the respect of trying it on an airplane to see if that's really where it holds its value.
Well, I
will
would
do it. I'll
also
do it.
associate it with that time that you almost got molested by the man who gave you V8.
Well, he was definitely watching us.
Yeah, out of the two, I would say the man giving you the V8 and then making sure that you drank
That's
it in
because
his
you
front
didn't
yard.
see the V8, the human V8 fountains.
Well, okay,
It was like synchronized vomiting.
but I guess
But I've seen my kid vomit. I've seen vomiting. Vomiting. I know that vomiting
you
is
also
not
missed
going
out
to.
on the college experience
Yeah,
of the throwback.
vomiting's not going
Right.
to play a game of "Don't tell Dad that I touched you there."
So I told you guys
You know?
the story in the proper order. when I walked in, I didn't know what the hell was happening. I thought they were vomiting blood. This was like a bad horror movie. Anyway, yeah, I probably should have.
There should have been some more red flags raised.
The other game, and this is for another day, is Crotch Ball. I'll tell you about Crotch Ball another day.
Is that a missionary thing?
It's a missionary thing.
Okay, so we're just going to have a whole segment dedicated to one fun fact about missionaries.
The Mormon Minute.
It is.
Or the Missionary Minute. You know what? The Missionary Minute, because it's not just Mormons that do the missionary
No,
work.
and let me just say up front that being a missionary was delightful. I'm no longer Mormon, but I have fond memories of my...
Well, and most people only know missionaries as the people who won't talk to women.
Right. I think more people would open the door if they knew these guys were down with crotch ball and V8 vomiting.
Yeah, they would.
On our next podcast, we've got stuff lined up. We just don't know what it is yet.
I'm gonna bring up One Direction.
I think we should bring up One Direction at least one time a show.
I might bring up Bukkake. Not cocky. Not.
Michelle will go blue when she was really concerned that I was going to be the one that did that.
No, you
I think
go
it's
be
apparent now that the real concern was she wanted to be the one to do that.
Yeah, she was afraid I was going to steal her thunder. Hey, you know what? It's all you. You ride that. You ride that pony.
I do.